We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans all over from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Cannons, Carters, and Greeks.
All right, everyone out there in Cardinal land, welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, when you hear that smooth, sultry voice, you know we're about to be doing one thing, and that is talking Ball State. I am John, your host, as always, joined tonight by my good friend Colin over there at Ball State Football Talk. Colin, it's been a couple weeks since we've been on here. How you been?
Been good. Just, waiting on Ball State football. Went to practice yesterday down in Muncie. We'll talk about it. But yeah, man, just everything's lining up for a great season. I'm excited.
Yeah. And if you're curious about what that season is going to look like, we finally, after weeks and weeks, it feels like months of waiting, we have a schedule. So we will jump into that here. Maybe we'll get a little way too early prediction from Colin here. I know he likes to do that always. So maybe we'll run through that here in just a minute. But before we get to that, and we have a special guest as well here in just a second. But before we get to that, as always, Ball State of the Union is a proud member of the College Huddle. The College Huddle is a group, a network of nationwide, independently made college football, college sports in general podcasts. So if you're a fan of Ball State, you're a fan of any other teams, or just college sports in general, go check out the College Huddle. They'll have some great content for you. You'll see our stuff on the page, and you'll see all kinds of different stuff. So, Colin, if you ever want to go on there and see what the Notre Dame people are talking about, they got it there. If you want to see what people are talking about, IU, they got it there, and you'll see them talking about Ball State as well. So go check out the College Huddle, and we would really appreciate that. So, Colin, anything else before we jump in here with our special guest tonight?
No, I just want to, thank everybody for tuning in. We should have a pretty special episode here. There's a lot to talk about. We got the schedule after we interview our next guest here, and yeah, should be exciting.
Okay. Well, here we go. We've had a couple different players so far throughout this off season here on Ball State of the Union. Everyone's been on the offensive side so far, Colin. We have our first defensive player of the 2026 Ball State Cardinals. You remember when he came in? He's a big two-sport athlete in high school, a big wrestler, a couple times state champion. We'll get to that as well. This is linebacker from the linebacker room, Mr. Lucas Szymborski. Lucas, thanks for joining us tonight.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
I say we're good. We're happy to here to talk with you. Anyone out there who watches the show with regularity, you might recognize this last name if you don't even recognize Lucas. Lucas's dad is a big fan of the show. He's always in here. He's always asking questions. So I'm expecting him tonight from you, Scott. So let's get the questions into here. Again, if you're watching the show right now, anyone out there, be sure to put your questions in, and we can ask them for Lucas here throughout the show. So, Lucas, I always kind of want to start. You kind of found yourself in an interesting scenario when you came to Ball State. Obviously, last year was your first year here, first year under Coach Urimovich, but I believe you originally recruited and committed under Coach New. Kind of walk me through what it was like when you first heard that Coach New was leaving, and what kind of influenced you into deciding that you were going to stay at Ball State regardless of the coaching change?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the big factor was like my relationship with Coach Knowles. I mean, he was walking through the whole process, like what happened between Coach New and then Coach Urimovich getting hired and all that. Just the relationship with him, it was just a key factor for sure. And then once Coach U got hired, he ended up calling me, talking to me. It was a good conversation. And I mean, I wanted to be at Ball State. Like, that's the place I wanted to be. Loved everything about it, the campus, to the coaches, to everything. And just like that relationship factor, like really like stood out to me. And that's why I reason like to stay for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now you came into, what we thought throughout the season. Coming into last year, I think a lot of fans out there thought maybe the defense was going to be a weakness of the team. But as the year kind of went on, we kind of noticed that it was actually a strength of the team. Obviously, you had Joey Stimler coming back. Elsewhere on the defense, Darren Conley. Nate Vorez. What was it kind of like coming in and learning from some of those guys in your first year there in Muncie?
Yeah, I mean, they played a big role in our defense. I mean, just following in their steps, and they were just showing like us the way, like how everything was gonna go, like to the lifting portion, to the eating portion, to on the field. Like you kind of just look at them and like you want to like be one of them. Like Joey in the linebacker room, showing like me and Micah, two young guys just coming in, like how things are gonna go, uh, and like I mean he played a big role for both of us for sure.
And now, as we turn the page from the 2025 season to the 2026 season, a lot of those names that we know are gone, whether that be they're going to the NFL draft, whether they win the transfer portal. You're still here. You're coming in now for your second year. What are some things that you maybe learned from those guys that you're going to carry over to this year, maybe whether it be in the leadership role or just in anything in terms with how to be a college football player?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this year we got a pretty young team. Some guys got to step up, take a bigger role than they did last year. And I mean, it comes down to those little things, those little fundamental things, like especially that you learn from the older guys that came before you. It's just, I mean, staying locked in, no matter what it is. It's in the meeting room, in the weight room, basically on the field. You just take all those little things and you kind of just go day by day, and you're doing it together. You're doing it as a team. Like all your teammates are going through it, and I mean, it's just we got a great thing going on and a great connection for sure.
Lucas, I want to rewind a little bit. You're two-time state champion at the wrestler level, one-time runner-up, one-time third place, high school wrestling all-time 157, 119, an all-star linebacker, 247 sports, number one linebacker in all of Indiana, a two-way starter, played in 11 different positions in high school football. What drew you to Ball State? What made you say, this is where I want to go?
Yeah, I think it was like going back to like having a relationship with Coach Knowles, him being a big factor of why I wanted to stay. I mean, he's a great coach, one of the smartest coaches I've probably ever met in my life playing football. But I think I really chose Ball State just because when I moved from transition to Tennessee to Indiana, they were always, I was getting texts daily. Me and Coach Knowles were talking every day. And I mean, like, it seemed like they were interested. And once I came and visited and they had everything for me, like basically to where I want to be, I was like, yeah, this is a place for me for sure.
Lucas, explain it for the audience and the fans at home. How does being a star wrestler translate to a football, like a football aspect?
Yeah, I would say definitely the mental part of it being tough. I mean, sports is tough and wrestling was tough with everything going on. But I mean, when going from the youth level to the middle school to the high school level, going through all that, I mean, wrestling coaches wanted you to play football, football coaches wanted you to wrestle. It was like they always talked about it being like peanut butter and jelly. Like it's literally just, I mean, it goes hand in hand with, you know, takedowns being helping you with tackling and like just the biggest part was like the mental part of it. Like just because the physicality that it takes and just everything going on, like, I mean, they both just go hand in hand for sure.
And John kind of asked a little bit of this. Last season the linebacker room was super senior heavy, and this year there's much more of a big chance for you to really get out there to start to shine on that field. But what was that like? It has to be hard. You're clearly a competitor. Just to have to sit for that full season. What was that like on you?
Yeah, it was like definitely humbling, but I mean, it's like something that I mean that I learned throughout the whole year. Like I was going through a learning process, some things that I didn't know about that the older guys had to teach me, and it was really just like um, them stepping up and showing me how to do things. And like, yeah, I'm a competitor, but at the same time, like there was things that I didn't know that like they basically needed to teach me.
And to that extent, to that question there, how much of becoming a leader and a really great linebacker is mental, and how much of it is just learning the scheme and where you fit where you're supposed to be, how much of that is really up here?
No, yeah, I would say that's definitely a majority part of it. I mean, just from getting to know, like coming in, getting to know the whole plays through guys that have learned it for several years. And I think that was like the biggest part of it was seeing how they understood it, learning like how they were understanding it, and them like showing me and like making it way easier for me. I mean, they played a big role for sure.
And then fast forward to this upcoming season here. What are your goals, not only for just you personally, but for the team all around?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, last year was definitely not what we wanted. We didn't want a 4-win season for sure. And I feel like this year, this offseason, we've been going heavy. I think everyone's bought in to everything, weight room, meeting room, all that. Like, we have goals. We obviously want that MAC. We want the MAC championship for sure. And I mean, we just got to take it day by day. Like, we preach every day, Coach Greenstone, to Coach you. Like what you're doing now, what you're working towards to is for those Saturday games, like those Maction games. Like you need to start today and take it as like a game day. Every practice needs to be game day reps. That's what they preach there, and I mean we're all bought in. And we're ready to show everyone.
Lucas, how intense has this spring been so far? Obviously, workouts been going, practice is getting going up. Is there a different feel in the air as the calendar turned from 2025 to 2026 that you noticed, or is it just kind of growing off of what you did last year?
No, yeah, I think everyone has a chip on their shoulder. Like we don't want what's happened last year to happen this year. And like obviously this being my first spring, my first like off season workouts, like even the older guys that have been there before like can say they feel like something different. Like us like younger guys that are stepping in and having to play a different role, like we are trying to take as much as we can in them, but we want to play like we want like a jump start for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas, is there anything specifically that you've looked at this offseason and you're focused on, working to improve in your game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get bigger, faster, and stronger every single day, and with the weight room. But also, I'm trying to. There's always little things that you can do with your craft. I'm trying to work on my footwork, trying to see how I can get a step faster than someone, or look at a key, or look at tendencies that I could see from someone else. And I mean, really just try to break the guy in front of me. Like it's really a guy in front of you, and you're just trying to beat him. Like that's what it really comes down to.
And then how would you describe Jeff Knowles as a defensive coordinator, and how would you describe?
Oh, we might have lost Colin here for a second.
Yeah.
So I think he was asking kind of how would you just describe Coach Knowles, as a defensive coordinator to maybe just a coach in general?
Yeah, I mean that's my guy. I mean, even beforehand, like I knew, like I mean he's a great guy outside of coaching, great guy overall. But as a coach, I mean he's going to be hard on you when you're not doing something right, but he's also going to bring you up when you're doing something good. And I think that that's the main part. Like with but he's very detailed too, which that's what I like about him. You could take one false step the wrong way, and he's gonna like tell you like this is what you need to do to get there faster, and that's what I really like.
Lucas, is there a game you're looking forward to the most this upcoming season?
I mean, definitely the first game, Ohio State. I mean, like that's a great way for me to like show off my skills. I mean, against a top team in the country. I mean, that's great for us to show what we can do, and I mean, just battle with them, the best in the country.
Yeah, if you go out there and you make a bunch of plays, people are gonna notice you. Especially you go out there, you get 10 tackles, something like that. People are gonna stop and be like, "Wait a second, who is this?" You know. So that's a
Right.
great answer. Lucas, any thoughts on Sac State joining the MAC and then becoming a possible rival? I know we're playing them during homecoming this year.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I mean, they're a pretty good football team. They got some pretty good coaches. I think I know a couple of their coaches from like back in the day recruiting me. But yeah, I mean, it'll be good to like see how we are going against them, and I mean, we'll be ready to go by then.
Mhm. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten in your football career?
I mean, it would be like towards when I was in youth league. It would always be, no matter what happens on the play, let the next play be your best play. Like, if you mess up, if something doesn't go your way, you just gotta work towards the next play because that's the most important part of it. Like that play that you just did doesn't matter no more, so you just gotta move on to the next one.
And then Lucas, this is my final question for you. If I had to wrestle you, you saw me at practice yesterday. You kind of got a good look, kind of sized me up a little bit. If I had to wrestle you, Lucas, how long would I last before you pin me? Over, under 60 seconds?
I'm definitely gonna go under on that.
Under.
This is the same guy who said he could run over Willie Snead.
Yeah,
So there you go.
I would say under.
Yeah. So, Lucas, before we let you go here, one more question from us, and we have a handful of comments from the fans out there. So if anyone has any questions or comments for Lucas here, throw them in there right now, and we'll get to them here in just a second. So, Lucas, who would you say, if you had one phone call, let's say you found yourself in a predicament, you had one phone call, who on the team would you call? Who's the guy out there you trust the most to get you out of a sticky situation?
I would definitely say Jalen Bonds.
Okay.
Jalen Bonds, trust him 100%. I feel like he'll know what to do, and I mean, yeah, he'll just
There
know
we
what to
go.
do for sure.
It's a good pick.
Good answer. Okay, so we got a couple comments here, Lucas, and then we'll let you get out of here on the Sunday night. We appreciate you joining us here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we all love Ball State football, so getting to talk to everybody out there is always good. So first over on YouTube, this is from Derek Lee 3955. Let's go, Lucas. There
Yes,
you go.
sir.
David, our friend David, how many years of eligibility do you have remaining, Lucas?
So I redshirted last year, so I still have 4 years left.
Okay, there we go. Like to hear that. And then my man, Lucas, good luck, brother. So cool to see you doing your thing at Ball State. Good luck. So, Lucas, you got some fans out here, man.
Appreciate it.
So, Lucas, we appreciate your time. We're excited to see you. We're excited to get out to your dad and your grandpa's tailgate again this year. We'll be sure to stop by. They got the good stuff going on back there. So, Lucas, do you have any type of NIL or merch or anything like that? And if you do, where can people find it?
I don't think I have any right now. I think the only one that we really have is Athletes Thread. So if you wanted to look that up, everyone on the team has it. You can buy jerseys, shirts, jackets. They got everything, hats. So probably athletesthread.com.
Okay. All right. So everyone out there, if you want to support Lucas, go check that out. And it's a different day and age for you student athletes now. You guys can cash in a little bit here. So let's go buy some jerseys and help Lucas out. So Lucas, we appreciate you coming on, and we'll hopefully we'll see you out there throughout the spring or in the fall, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
All right, that was our friend Lucas Szymborski. So enjoyed talking to him, Colin. You know, I remember when we saw him as a name coming in last year, you know, you seeing that two-sport, excelling at both sports, you know, that's something that, you know, at the MAC level, you know, if you're just a better athlete than everybody else, you're going to eventually shine through. So I'm happy we were able to chance to talk to him. And I think, you know, a lot of people out there are excited to see what he's going to have in store for Ball State this year. What do you think about talking to old Lucas there?
Yeah, this is one of the great things about Ball State of the Union. You'll get the players, you know, of right now. You're going to get the players of the future. And Lucas is really, I think he's going to be both. Now, he's primed to really be a stud for us on this defensive side. And I think, you know, this upcoming next season, he might not be a name that every Cardinal fans know just yet, but he certainly will be by the end of this season.
Yeah, for sure. And we just missed the crossover here, but we got Scott in here now. Good boy tailgate.
Oh, yeah.
He wants it. I'll be there. We got the schedule now, Scott. So we're going to go over that here in just a second. So again, keep bringing in your questions, comments, and we'll read them kind of as the show goes on here. So Colin, obviously the schedule is a big thing. We're going to get to that here in a minute, but I have a couple other news and notes that have come up since we talked last. So first thing, Colin, your old friend, Mr. Danny Pinter, he is on the move, no longer member of the Indianapolis Colts. He is now with the Baltimore Ravens. Our good friend and co-host Willie Snead obviously played for the Ravens for a long time. I know you played, I believe, high school football with Danny.
I did.
What do you think when you see this? I mean, obviously, Ball State Cardinal, played for the Colts for a while, and he's continuing his career. You got to be happy for him.
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I mean, it couldn't have happened to, a better guy. I've met his dad. I've met his brother. His brother was 1 year older than me. Danny was 1 year younger than me, so I played with both of them. I actually saw his older brother at Adam's game because I actually coach where he went to high school, where we both went to high school. And couldn't have happened to a better family. So I'm just so happy for them. And I think Danny, he's one of the best, like backup guard sort of center.
Versatile guy.
Really, yeah, he's a great depth piece. So it's a good signing for the Ravens, and I think they need depth at the O-line position, and Danny gives them that. So I'm glad to see him able to continue his career, and glad to see the Ravens get a piece.
Yeah, I mean, selfishly, I'm upset that he's leaving the Colts, obviously, but he, like you said, perfect backup guy. He can plug and play. I think he played basically at every position on the offensive line. They lined him up. They threw him a couple of passes. Obviously, he played tight end for a little bit at Ball State, and he famously caught a touchdown pass for us from the offensive line position. But yeah, congratulations to Danny, and hopefully we'll have some more Cardinals here in the NFL as well soon. So. Yeah, I just wanted to get that in there because, don't have tons of guys in the NFL, but, we have a couple here and there every so often. So other thing, big news, obviously Colin is a big fan of this, and we had the producer of this, Jude Kiefer, on at the end of the season, but the Together season 2 is out now. Now, Colin, I know you had a chance to watch this. I have unfortunately not had a chance to watch this yet. My life this last week has been so busy, it's not even funny. But I'm going to watch it soon. What'd you think of it? Obviously, the first one here for this off season for the 2026 year. So last year, obviously, we had through the season. This is a little bit different review this year, showing you guys what it looks like kind of throughout the spring and the preparations for the season.
I mean, what can I say? If you saw this last season, you know just how excellent a product we're getting here. This is like Ball State's Hard Knocks, and it's done really, really well yet again. I'd say what really stood out for me is Jared Beatty. So they're obviously, going into season 2, they're still interviewing Jalen Bonds, our running back. He seems like a really, not only a stand-up kind of classy guy, but he's a baller on the field. But the other player that's really getting a lot of shine here is Jared Beatty, who hopefully will replace that Nate Voris production. And it's going to be hard to get 12 sacks in 12 games, but this guy looks like the real deal, and they're really highlighting him and spotlighting him in this first episode. So it's great to see more new players step into this limelight and really get a chance for the viewers to familiarize themselves with.
Yeah, again, I'm interested. I might watch it tonight actually when we're done with this. I need to catch up on it, but yeah. Great show. Again, we had Jude on back, maybe a little after Christmas or right before Christmas. So go back and check it out in the archives if you want to see, and he'll kind of give you an in-depth look on all that. So one other thing, or two more things actually here, Colin. We have something that you wanted me to bring up here. This is another Ball State of the Union alumni here, and I'm interested to get your take on this. This is something that you sent Willie and I the other day about our friend Keon Magwood.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you kind of go into this and what you see here.
Yeah. So, okay, first things first. Is this as big as we can get it, John?
Possibly. Hold on. Let me see.
If it is, that's fine. I'll talk a little bit about it. So,
yeah, I think it is.
This came across my timeline, and people were criticizing that Keon decided to do the bench press on the pro day, and it's like set standardized at 225 pounds per rep. Well, you can kind of opt out of doing it. Hollywood Brown is one of those like kind of skinnier, smaller guys who opted out of doing it. But our guy Keon, he's a dog. He likes to compete. He said, "You know what? No, I'm gonna lay down on this bench. I'm gonna try to rep it. And he only weighs, I think it's like 182 or 181 or 183, something on there. And he was unable to do a rep. Well, there was a sort of, I got in there and I had our guys back. I love Keon Magwood. He's one of my favorite players we've seen in these last couple of years. And I told the people, I'm like, Keon isn't really defined by the measurements, by like what he really put out there. It's more like what he did on the field. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a good guy. He's got soft hands. He's got game winners on his resume from last year. And I don't necessarily think that the bench press is representative of, what's going to be a great wide receiver in the NFL. And there's guys who are small as well, and no shade at Willie. He's a somewhat of a smaller guy, and he repped I think like 12 reps on the bench press. So sidelines, I know he'll see this. Rob, me and him got into it, going back and forth here and there. A couple people jumped in, and I thought it was kind of interesting that blocking is more significant in the vertical. You'll find better blockers by looking at people's vertical numbers, I guess, because maybe more people are blocking with their legs or something like that,
Looks like we might have lost Colin here for a second, so we'll give him a second to see if he can jump back in here. But we,
you don't have to run straight. Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. We lost you for a second, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sidelines is basically saying like.
All right. Well, we'll kind of move on here. I'll kind of start on the schedule here. So,
running straight through a guy. It happened again, John.
Yeah, we keep losing. We'll just move on to. I think we got the picture here at this point.
All right. My point is, you can get out of a jam press coverage without just running through a guy. That's my point. And so I was just having Keon's back, and that was all I wanted to really say. And I wanted to see what Willie thought about that, but we'll get that at a later date.
Okay. All right. Again, if you got any questions, comments, keep them coming, throw them in here, and we'll read them all at the end of the show. So, Colin, the big piece of news that came out here, something we've been waiting on for a long time, is we finally have a schedule for the 2026 season. Now, obviously, we knew the non-conference games, we knew the non-conference dates, but that was only 1/3 of the schedule. So if for some reason you haven't seen it yet, let us be the first to show you. Here is the 2026 Ball State Cardinals football schedule here. So I will kind of run through it here real quick. Start the season at Ohio State, first home game family weekend against Stony Brook. Then we're on the road at Liberty, at Kent State, and then we have Toledo at home, at Northwestern. Again, remember a couple years ago we had that Vanderbilt game kind of randomly in the middle of the season on the road. So a similar situation with Northwestern. Then at Bowling Green, not a team that we see every year. And then obviously homecoming, the big game this year against Sacramento State. And then gets into a weird part of the schedule. The last couple of years, we've only had the one midweek game. This year, we got 3 in a row before we end the season against Central Michigan. So I have a couple other thoughts. I'll kick it to you first before I kind of get going into it more. What are your thoughts on this schedule, Colin? I know we've been waiting a long time to see it, see how we're going to be spending our fall this year, and now we have a little bit better of an idea.
Yeah, it's weird, right? I mean, it's so back-laden to like our actual games. It's very back-heavy on like when we can see the Cardinals. So, you've got September 12th, Stony Brook. We'll be live for that game, of course. Though a tough game to start out, obviously, in Ohio State. I'm excited to have you, man.
All right, Colin. Colin's struggling here today with his connection. You're struggling here today, Colin.
Man, what is that about? The people, hey, they want to hear about Ball State football, so I'm gonna deliver. But I just all the games are, our home games are so back, and the season is cold weather. It's like Central Michigan, November 28th. We got 2 or 3 in November, 2 in late October, 1 in early. I just don't like how the schedule is like. is laid out, really, John. It's kind of weird. I don't know. That was my first thought there.
Mm-hmm. So my first thought, aside from having Sacramento State on the schedule, because that seemed to be the big thing that everyone wanted to know, no Miami of Ohio this year. Colin, I have a hot take here. And actually, it's not a hot take, it's a demand. I'm officially canceling the Redbird rivalry. If we're not going to play this thing every year, then I'm over it. I'm done with this trophy game. We played Northern Illinois every year. If this was supposed to be our new rival now, since we have a trophy game on the year, we're not going to play it every year, which we have some other things with stuff across the MAC with the scheduling rivalry rise. That's pretty ridiculous. But I can't. It's canceled. I'm canceling the Redbird rivalry trophy officially. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm fine with it. Last 10 years, I think they've beaten us 9 times. I'd really like to see them off the schedule. I want to see Toledo off the schedule, too. That one doesn't make sense to me. Why are we playing Toledo every year, but we're not playing Miami of Ohio?
Yeah, I don't get it. So, I like I said, I like Bowling Green on the schedule. I remember when we did a video back with our friend David from BSU Edits on Instagram, we did our crystal ball episode and where things would be 5-10 years from down the road. And I said, I thought Bowling Green had the potential to be a new big rival for us. It's not super far away. I think it's, just around 3 hours away. There's a potential chance, like Northern Illinois left, that Toledo could leave as well. And so Bowling Green geographically, and if their rival Toledo were to leave the conference, seems like a pretty logical place for us to kind of pair up with. So I'd like to see them on the schedule. I'd like to see them on the schedule a lot more frequently. I'm opposite of you. I want to see Toledo every year. Toledo is a classic kind of rivalry that we have. You can't be afraid of any of these teams. So I want to play Toledo every year, and I'd like to play Bowling Green every year. And I'd like to play Sacramento State as many times as we can play them. And obviously, the other big thing here is the 3 midweek games in a row. A lot of people complain about midweek games. Maybe the fans going to them don't like them as much. The fans who aren't necessarily going to the games like them because, it's something on in the midweek of the season. What are your thoughts on us getting loaded up on midweek games after the last couple of years where I believe we only had one each of the last 2 years?
I'll take a midweek game, honestly. It's all eyes on us, all eyes on Ball State. Get us on that national spotlight level. Of course, I think there's going to be a big pop with the Sac State homecoming game. That's not even a midweek game, but that'll get some buzz going for Ball State. And then we get to play lowly UMass. Yeah,
I figured the UMass shot was coming here, and Colin he'll get back in here in a second. But it's interesting. Go ahead. You're lagging again.
I know, but the Toledo game, you want to see Toledo every year. I want to see UMass every year. I want to get a UMass W on the schedule every year, and if that's in the middle of the week, then I'll take it.
Well, you were getting a little worried here because you were saying how feisty they were in the transfer portal this year. That doesn't worry you at all.
Well, so they got Pop Watson. They got this guy that apparently was he played for Virginia Tech a little bit, but he's a Massachusetts guy. And so they reached back in the portal. And you know what? I'll just say this in general. I think the MAC is going to be way better in general. Everybody is going to be improved. I mean, Bowling Green was 3-9. They're not going to be that bad on Eddie George's second year. UMass was, winless. They have 2 FCS programs on the schedule and Sac State. They might get 3 wins this year. I think everybody is raising their game in the MAC, us included. And so nobody is just a gimme. But if anybody is a gimme, it's UMass. So that's why I'm super excited for that game out of the 3, midweek games in particular.
Mm-hmm. And obviously another big game, Buffalo at Ball State, which means former coach Pete Lembo making his first trip back to Muncie. I know some people have mixed feelings about Coach Lembo, but it should be an interesting one. He's seeing him come back to town. Maybe there's enough times passed where people don't really, hold it against him anymore. I was never super, against him, but I know some people in the fan base are, and that's how you feel. Then that's how you feel. I had one more point. Oh, so we're looking at this schedule. We're talking about Miami. Also, no MAC champion Western Michigan. So both teams in the MAC championship game last year not on the schedule. So, this schedule, while it does have some tough parts to it, it might be something that, could go well for us. Ball State football put out that tweet I don't know, a couple weeks back from 24/7 Sports. I think they said this is our highest recruiting class of all time, highest ranked recruiting class of all time, and like we have the second highest rated transfer portal class, I believe. So if they're going to make a big jump, this could be the year that happens. So one other note before I kind of maybe have you give us your way too early predictions here, Colin. One thing to note, which, in the grand scheme of college football and how things go nowadays, the big schools out there, the Indianas, the Notre Dames, the Floridas, the Florida States, all those types of schools, they're greedy. They want all their extra home games they can get. So now Ball State finds themselves in a position every year where at the max they will have 6 home games. In some years, last year and this year as well, they're only going to have 5 home games. So that's because we're not only playing at Ohio State, but we're playing at Northwestern as well. So we're going to find ourselves in a pretty tough scenario because you're at Ohio State, you're at Northwestern, and you're at Liberty as well. If you remember last year, at Purdue, at Auburn, and at UConn, only leaving your one kind of FCS game at home. So, you really hope you can get out of that 2-2 so you're not behind the 8 ball like you are last year coming through that non-conference 1-3. Colin, I believe next year we have an extra home game, though, so we have that to look forward to. Would you like to see us maybe not go 2 years in a row having only 5 home games?
Definitely. That speaks into how at the very beginning of when we looked at this schedule, I said it's going to be kind of hard to find games to go and see your team. I mean, there's one game in September. That's it, that you can go and see Ball State if you can only go and see them at home. So I wish there was more, really. I wish we were guaranteed 6 every year. But, especially in the back half of the season, it's cold. Like, it's a completely different experience on November 28th than it is on September 12th when you go and see your team. So I do wish we got 6 games every year, John.
Yeah. So I believe next year, it's Western Kentucky. That's our kind of like comparable, G5 type team that we're playing. I believe it is at home. I could have the team wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's at home next year. So we'll see how that goes. So Colin, maybe we'll go kind of more deep into this at a later episode, but let me get your as early as humanly possible prediction for this schedule. Walk me through each week. Let's see where Ball State lands this year.
So Ohio State, it's not going to be a surprise to guys. Like I know Lucas is excited. I know all the guys on the team are excited to go and play that, but that's going to be a L. Stony Brook, that should be a no contest, a nice easy W. Liberty is kind of a toss-up, John. I'm interested in what you think here. The team was 4-8 last year. We were 4-8 as well, but Liberty was 4-8, but they still have that coach that led them to like 12-0 in 2023, I think, with Caden Salter. Of course, he's not there any longer, but I don't know. This could be a sneaky W. This could be a L here. I think it's going to be a lot closer than those first 2 games. What do you think, John?
Yeah, it's hard to track teams anymore in this transfer portal era. I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you I know everything there is to know about Liberty. I do know, in recent history, they're one of the better premier, G5 teams out there. So, if maybe they had a down year last year, it doesn't mean that, that's really going to transfer over. They can, I'm sure they have some money. They have a pretty big alumni base from what I understand. A lot of kids, that were, go to Christian schools and Catholic schools and all that, like from Indiana, even we're going out to Liberty. So
Right.
They have a lot of people, nationwide. So I think they probably have some money. And in this NIL era, you could probably do stuff with that. So I don't really know. Again, that'll be, week 3-ish. So we'll have a better idea there. But I can't even begin to act like I fully know what to expect. But going on the road, I don't like that. I'd prefer to be at home.
Right. Yeah, that one's going to be a toughie there. So stay tuned for like a more official way too early season prediction there. That's going to be a tough decision. But Kent State week 4, John, I always chalk that up to W. I feel like we pretty much own Kent State, but they are a feisty team now with Drew to Dimes and that coach that they solidified, and they've signed him to long-term deal. I like what they're building at Kent State. Week 5 with Toledo, John, I mentioned this earlier. Toledo is the cream of the crop. It's the Alabama of the MAC. I'm going to give us a loss there. Northwestern, that's another Big Ten school. Going to give us a loss there. Bowling Green, 3-9 last year, but the year 2 with Eddie George, I'm expecting an improvement. Now, if that's 4-8, if that's 5-7, if that's 6-6, I guess we'll see. But I'm expecting a win for the Cardinals. Sac State at home, homecoming. The crowd's gonna be live. I'm gonna have, my ball sack trophy there in the crowd. I'm gonna be going nuts. That's got to be a W. Now we're here. That's a 2-game win streak. UMass is coming up with a 2-game win streak, and you go into UMass. I'm expecting us to pound them. So give us 3 wins in a row right there. Buffalo, I know they have a strong defense. Sean Dolak was just there. I'm pretty sure he's gone, though. Their linebacking core maybe is a little worse now. I think we got better linebackers than them. Shout out Lucas. I'm going to give us another dub. So I'm going to say 4 in a row right there. Ohio, probably a loss. We got them last year. Just the way the cookie crumbles with some of these upper tier MAC teams. You punch them in the mouth. Next year, they punch you in the mouth. And then Central Michigan to end the year, I would say a loss, but, John, we cannot forget how good this team performed last year at home. So I'm going to end the season with a W. I got us at least like 6 wins, John. 6 or 7. I don't know how many was there.
Yeah, I mean, you can find them on there pretty easy, I think. Some spots that I see as well. You had that stretch last year, which forgive me if I can't remember exactly the order, but we had Northern Illinois, we had Akron, we had Kent State, and Eastern Michigan. That 4-game stretch that really was going to make or break our season. I kind of see that a little bit on here in Bowling Green, Sacramento State, UMass, and Buffalo coming at home. I think the fans, I think the energy will be up when Buffalo and Coach Limbo come to town. So, you have that stretch there where if you don't just completely bottom out at the beginning of the year, if you can find a way to make sure you beat Stony Brook, and then you either beat one of Liberty, Kent State, or Toledo and get 2 wins coming out of that stretch, your season is still very much ahead of you, which we saw last year. Unfortunately, it didn't kind of go through last year how we wanted it to, but that spot is there to do that. And I'm going to call a shot here. This is not something I usually do. I think they get one big upset win like they did last year as well. I think they beat Toledo this year. I think they got that big upset win against Ohio last year. I think they're going to find a way to get one of those as well. I don't necessarily seeing it be against Ohio State or Northwestern. I think the best spot is that Toledo game at home early in the season. That first MAC game at home. So 2 other things on this, and then we'll kind of wrap this up here. So last year, if the fans of the show will remember, Colin made the bet of the century in the midweek game against Kent State. Colin, will we get a bet of the century 2.0 potentially against UMass this year?
I think we will. I really ragged on Kent State last year. Some of that was, I think deserved from the years they had previously. But seeing them last year, that is a team to respect. And I do not feel like UMass is a team to respect yet. So I'm just gonna keep it real with the fans. This is what I do here is like I'm not holding punches. I'm not, lying and just being facetious or saying UMass will be good this upcoming year and just trying to be respectful or no, I'm gonna say it like it is. UMass was dog crap last year, and until they show me otherwise, I will respect them as such. And because of that, I think we are gonna get another one of those crazy bets. Have the fans put it in the chat, and if we lose, guys, then I'll be damned. But I'll do what the fans are calling for.
Okay, there we go. My last thing, we might find ourselves in a situation where we're either at 5 wins or 6 wins or something right along that at the end of the year. I have not forgotten how the game against Central Michigan, we didn't play them last year, I don't believe, but the year before that, where we lost that crazy game at the end with Mike New. I have not forgotten that. And I think, any of those guys, if there's any holdovers from that team going into that last week of the season, I think they're going to be out there wanting to exact some revenge. So outside of Ball State, there's one other kind of note from this scheduling that I thought was very interesting. A lot of people thought was interesting. I would say, for the most part, it seems to me that the biggest football rivalry in the MAC. Some people might say Akron and Kent. Some people might say, some of the Michigan schools. To me, it always seems like it's Toledo and Bowling Green. They're so close together. It's the biggest game. We don't sell out MAC stadiums often, but it seems like when those two play each other, they do. Colin, they're playing that on a midweek game this year. That seems crazy to me. I know a lot of people are upset about that. What do you think about what do you think about Bowling Green and Toledo being forced to play their big rivalry game, their one big, money game of each year that they can count on and getting big turnout? And I'm not saying they won't get that, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to get that on a midweek game. What are your thoughts on this? It seems like a massive oversight by the MAC.
Yeah, John, great question. This is a mistake, and it's going to push teams out of the MAC when we do stuff like this. There needs to be a weekend, during the season. I don't care if it's in the middle of the season, like kind of near homecoming. There has to be a rivalry week where, like, Battle of the Bricks, the Toledo BG, Western versus Central. These games need to be respected and put on the weekend. I know, ESPN has this deal with us, and that's why this is happening, that they're putting it on the weekday games. But this is going to push teams like Toledo away from the MAC, and it's going to hurt us in the long run. They've got to get this figured out, John, because it's important. These teams rely on these big matchups like Bowling Green, Toledo, where the fans really care. They come, they pack out that crowd. They need to find a happy medium where, yes, ESPN gets its money's worth, but so do the teams. The teams are able to, have their biggest games in the biggest slots on the biggest days. It's just not good for the health of the MAC, and I hope it's something they look at and they fix.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you haven't already, you got your season tickets. I got mine. I'm about to be back in Indiana here full time here in just a couple of weeks. So I'm excited to get out there, check out the team, see all the fans out there, and now we know when it's going to be. So I'll be in the purple lot if anyone wants to come tailgate with me, and then we'll go find the Szymborskis back there at their big RV. So, Colin, one more thing before we get to the fan questions, and we appreciate everyone being here tonight with us. You were at practice here recently. Tell me what you saw, what you like. How was that experience?
I was. Shout out to Coach Jeremovich being kind enough to invite me to the practice. And it was actually a recruiting day. So they had 32 kids and their families there from all over the country come visit the program. And so I got to sit in that big auditorium area. I kind of felt like that Drake meme where he's sitting with the Kentucky players and they've got Drake circled and it's like, bro thinks he's on the team. That was me. I was so excited to be there and listening to Coach U, and his spiel to the recruits was actually really wise and interesting just to listen to him. The practice, as far as the practice, super fast paced, no downtime. When the kids know, like when they hear these train horns, it's like go to the next stop. There's a timer on the wall for, it's very fast paced. I loved the tempo of practice. That was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was a lot of people on the sidelines. Now, these are people in the know, and I got to see people like Chris Radican on the sideline. A lot of QB talk. So there's, of course, Tyler Mazzell. There's Keldrick Luster. He was interesting to watch. He throws the ball pretty hard. Tyler Mazzell looked pretty good. But a freshman named Mason Atkins is a guy a lot of people are looking at, and I could tell, Coach U has a lot of respect for the kid. But I don't think they want to play this kid just yet. I think they want to give the freshman a little bit of time to, settle in and watch people play this year. But Mason Atkins is a quarterback to watch out for, maybe not this upcoming year, but the year after. Another player I saw that we were using a lot, Corey Thompson actually wasn't practicing, so keep that in mind. But number 11, last name Thacker, one of the Thacker brothers, he was getting a lot of play. Look out for him. J-Mac was looking like he was getting a lot of play. The 2-minute drill at the end of the game, or at the end of practice, it was the first padded practice. So they were doing inside run. People were excited to hit each other. When they did the 2-minute drill, it was kind of, like give the offense 4 times to get into scoring position. Defense was dominant. So I know that's kind of like a thing in early practices, John, where, you see the defense dominate early just because maybe it takes the offense a little more time to gel. that was something I definitely saw at the practice as well. The team looks a lot faster in general, so our players are, there's an increase in speed on field. So I was excited by what I saw, and really it was promising. I will say though, like if you went to practice and you were looking like, I want to see the stars, I want to see some guys shine. John, there wasn't necessarily a lot of that. I think what we will see is a team that is led mostly together. It's going to take all 11 guys. There's not really a ton of guys that just popped out. If you're looking for that, maybe you'd say DJ Hamilton was the guy that really like shined the most. But there wasn't like a ton of guys outside of the running back room really like TJ Horton. Of course, he looks like a dog. He looks like someone that could have a life after Ball State in the football world. But this is going to be a team that wins by being well coached, a team that wins by being disciplined, a team that wins by working together. It wasn't so much of these individual pieces that were flashing in front of me. And of course, it is early. So, that's just kind of what I saw. No real quarterback stood out that much. Everybody seemed, close in competition, but it was great to be there. And we looked like a really well coached team. I liked seeing Coach U, walk around the field very, very confidently. He doesn't have to say anything. The team, it knows what it should be doing. All the assistant coaches are yelling for Coach U. I loved what I saw at practice, and it was a blessing, honestly, for them to allow me to be there yesterday.
Sweet. Yeah. So we'll keep everyone posted if any of us end up at any more practices either throughout the spring or there in the summer and the fall. And hopefully we'll be at the media day. I know that's kind of sometime right before school starts maybe, and we'll be on the lookout for that. So let's get to our listener questions and we'll get everyone out of here tonight. So David over on YouTube said the MAC schedule seems to be about as good as a MAC schedule could be. We should be able to compete. Yeah, I mean, again, some highlights. There's no Miami of Ohio. There's no Western Michigan, so the two teams in the championship game last year. Toledo, obviously a very good team as always. We have them at home. Buffalo at home. And we have Sacramento State at home, which I don't really know exactly how good they're going to or not going to be. But not having to go all the way out to California, is something that, these guys don't have to do very often. Playing at Ball State is playing that far away. So not having to go out there for that game is a plus, I would say. And David also said, like Miami, Toledo is the enemy. Yes, Colin, me and you disagree on this one. I don't want to see Toledo go anywhere. I want Toledo on the schedule as often as we can get them. We've had some big wins over them in our history. And, we can't shy away from teams. So, I got to disagree with you.
I'd rather replace Toledo with Akron for the schedule.
You just want the teams you don't think are any good.
I want the wins. I don't care how we get them.
There we go. And yeah, he agrees with me about Toledo and Bowling Green. Yeah, I think, again, I would really like to see Bowling Green on the schedule a lot more going forward, especially with Northern Illinois out. Again, geographically, it seems like it makes a lot of sense to try and, you got the three Michigan schools up there together. You have Akron and Kent together. Ohio and Miami are kind of, they're somewhat close to each other. The two teams out west. So then, that's Toledo and Bowling Green there, and then basically us and Sacramento State. So unless we're really going to become true rivals of Sacramento State, which who knows how long they're even going to be around, I like the idea of kind of having Bowling Green around on the schedule a little bit more, because for whatever reason we don't play them that often. Doesn't seem like. Our friend Shay, good friend Shay over on Twitter. What is the MAC matrix for the MAC schedule? Does last year's results factor in? I don't know exactly, but I don't believe they do, Colin. I think it's kind of I think they just kind of, at this point, with no divisions anymore, like there's no MAC East, MAC West, I think it's somewhat of a crapshoot. I mean, I guess there's probably some sort of logic to it, but, again, making Toledo and Bowling Green play in a midweek game doesn't seem like there's much logic to it.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure how they do that. The rivalry games, like we said, that's just a completely different beast right there. They've got to figure that out before they push teams out.
Mm-hmm. Scott, 7-5 going bowling, Colin. I know you get behind that there.
I like that. I like that a lot. And sidelines will tell you, with the loss of one of these MAC bowls, I forget which one it is. I don't know if it was the Detroit game above or something like that, but with some of the with that loss of that bowl, we might have to be 7-5 to go bowling out of the MAC. I pray that's not true, but it might be. It really might be.
I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to see more and more teams opt out of bowls in the future. So I think teams like Ball State, teams who, playing for a bowl game still really means a lot to them. I think that would be a scenario where, unless they start penalizing teams for sitting out games, I think more teams are going to do it in the future. So, Shay, again, here's an in the weeds one. Have we hired a new equipment manager? Last I heard, the students were running. Yeah, Shay, I heard the same thing last year. I believe, based on what I can see online, I'm not seeing a football equipment manager hired. It looks like they have a couple people running all the stuff out of Worthing Arena, so it might still be the students. I'm not going to lie, I don't really know how they're getting away with doing that. Most people, pretty much every other school in the country is going to have a full-time dedicated, certified equipment manager. And not saying the students don't do a good job, but as a former, athletic equipment manager myself, I know that, there's a lot of, stuff that goes into it that you might not necessarily know so far as a student. So I don't think they do, and I don't really like that. Colin, I know you might not be super well versed in the equipment world, but this would be almost like, to a lesser degree, not having, an athletic trainer or a strength coach or something like that, and just having the students come in and do it.
Yeah, I don't like us trying to cut corners if that's what's going on here. Pay somebody that really understands what's going on and can get in there and make sure our guys are looking clean, our guys are taken care of. If the students are able to do that, then so be it. But something tells me, there probably should be an adult in the room that has this experience, as a paid job, something like that they can get in there and make sure our guys are looking clean, our guys are taken care of. I just want to make sure we're giving our players the best, and that's probably what
the big thing is safety. You want to make sure that they're safe. So, David, he likes playing Toledo. See, dude, we love it. We love playing Toledo. Like going. Remember the big win when we were in school when Toledo was ranked. We went into the Glass Bowl that night game and got the big win there. There's some good ones throughout the years. And our last one right here, Donald Szymborski. We've got all the Szymborskis here tonight. I believe we've had now 3 generations of Szymborskis here on the show here tonight, just tonight. So he thinks 6-6 is more realistic. I would tend to agree just because, again, I think there's a very strong chance you come out of the non-conference, although the non-conference is a little different this year because you're not playing that 4th game until later. But I think there's a pretty strong chance that you finish your non-conference slate 1-3 in there. So then that makes things a lot more difficult, obviously, like we saw last year as well. Where if you had to pick, if the over/under was set at 6.5 right now, are you going 7 with Scott or 6 with Donald here, Colin?
Ooh, I'm gonna say I would go under, just as like if I'm putting money on it and I want to be safe, I would go under just because the way the trends have been is like last year's 4-8, the year before it was 3-9, the year before it's 4-8, the year before it's 5-7, like. So we're more so closer in that kind of range than 7-5. Although I think when I went through those, when we just went through the schedule, I think I predicted 7-5. But if the line was set at 6.5, I think I would go under.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it.
Okay. And maybe the last one here. So Shay, this is why he thinks the jersey combos were not a big mix-up last year. Remember, not a lot of creativity, only a white helmet. If you remember back just a couple of years ago, we had a white helmet, black helmet, and a red one for a few years. So, it could be the equipment staff, wanting to keep things easy. If it is just students, it could be a money thing. I remember we talked a while back, Middle Tennessee State saved like $1 million a year or something like that, cutting back on some uniforms and just having one helmet and stuff like that. So there could be a multitude of factors for that. But, yeah, that is a good observation there, Shay. So, all right, I think that wraps it up here, Colin, tonight. Anything left out there for the fans before we say goodbye tonight?
Definitely. I just want to encourage everybody to make their way over to the Ball State Football Talk Twitter page and then find the Substack account that I'm writing on. Sometimes when we do these breakdowns, like with the schedule, for instance, some things come to my brain maybe a little bit later, and I'm better in the written word when breaking down, for instance, the schedule upcoming on that Substack. I'm going to put out an article soon. Gonna go really in depth on this and try to, go into each opponent that we're facing. It should be my longest article yet. This is completely free, of course. So if you can, make sure you go to the Substack account. Make sure you sub that. It'll go straight to your email. It's just kind of like a letter that we put out of Ball State, kind of articles every now and then. So make sure you're subscribed for that. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube account. Make sure you're checking us out on Twitter. We're going to bring you the best information as fast as we can, as accurately as possible. Because this is what we do, and we love Ball State. And yeah, I'm just thankful everybody's here.
Yep, we appreciate everyone joining us here tonight. Obviously, we have a long way to go still till that first game against Ohio State, but we're always ready to talk Ball State football. We're always ready to be talking Ball State. So that's going to do it for tonight's show. Again, we appreciate everyone joining us, tuning in here live with us tonight. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to us, again, on all your favorite social media platforms. Wherever you're watching the show, if you're not subscribed, you're not following, be sure to click that button. It helps out a lot. We'll be back soon. I don't know when we'll be back necessarily. Maybe it'll be next week, might be 2 weeks. We'll see. But until then, everyone out there, chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.